Hey there, friends. Welcome back to the Shadow Horror Channel. Today, I'm about to share a terrifying story that will send shivers down your spine. If you love your mom, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe, because you won't want to miss what's coming next. My sister found the tapes in the attic after the funeral. The house was silent that day, almost too silent, like even the walls were holding their breath. The attic smelled of dust and dry wood, the kind of stale air that lingers for decades. She called me up, her face pale from crying, and pointed to a cardboard box shoved into the darkest corner. Inside was a mess of tapes, maybe a dozen, maybe more, stacked neatly as if someone had hidden them with care. Each was labeled in a handwriting I recognized, though I couldn't place it right away. My sister reached in and carefully pulled 3 of them out. They were stored inside a sealed Ziploc bag, as if time itself could harm them if left unprotected. She pressed them into my hands. "I think Dad meant for you to have these," she whispered, her voice distant, almost detached. "He kept them separate from the others." I didn't argue. I simply nodded, sliding the bag into my suitcase before heading home. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Just old home movies, maybe his version of a time capsule. For 2 weeks, the tapes stayed buried at the back of my closet. Life moved on. The funeral faded into routine, and I almost forgot about them. Until one rainy Wednesday night, when I had been drinking more than I should have, I remembered. The apartment was dark and heavy with silence, and suddenly I felt a strange pull to see what was on those tapes. The cassettes were high-8 tapes, the kind you don't see anymore. Each had neat handwritten labels, small and elegant. Springfield Trip, 93, First Steps, 1994, Christmas 95, and beneath every title, my name scratched in bold black marker. There was something about the handwriting that felt familiar, comforting even, but not quite. It was like nostalgia from someone else's dream. Digging through old drawers, I found the camcorder Dad had given me years ago. It still smelled faintly of plastic and old batteries. I plugged it into the TV with a mess of tangled cords that barely held together, shoved in the oldest tape, and hit play. The screen flickered, static crackled, and then an image appeared. A baby. Me, I guessed, held in a woman's arms. We were standing in a wide-open field. It must have been summer, the grass tall and golden, the sun bright. The woman holding me had curly brown hair and oversized sunglasses. Her laugh rolled out deep from her belly, warm and full. She looked happy. She looked in love, but not with me. With whoever was behind the camera. "That's it, sweetheart." A man's voice chuckled from behind the lens. "Get a close-up of those chubby cheeks." The woman cradled me closer to the camera and winked, her smile wide and easy. "That's our boy," she said. But then, mid-laugh, her face shifted. Her eyes darted off camera. Her smile faltered. Something cold crept into her expression. The camera turned, panning across the field. Far away, near the tree line, stood a figure. Too far to see clearly, but tall, unmoving, dressed in dark clothes. Just standing, just watching. "Do you see that?" the woman asked, her voice tight. The man zoomed in slightly, but the figure didn't move, didn't wave, didn't leave, just stood there. "It's probably just someone out for a walk," the man said, though his voice was quieter now. The woman shook her head, clutching me tighter. "That's the same man from yesterday, Frank." The camera jolted suddenly, like it had been yanked, and then the screen filled with static. A hard, sharp cut. Silence followed. I sat there frozen, the hairs on my arms rising. I rewound the tape and played it again. And again. Each time, the figure was still there, watching, unmoving. A chill crawled up the back of my neck. The second tape was labeled First Steps. I slid it in, my stomach tightening. The screen came alive again. Same woman, same man, same baby version of me. But something was off. The house didn't match my memories. The wallpaper was different. The couch wasn't the one I remembered from any family photo. When I stumbled forward, wobbling, taking those first steps, I fell into the arms of that same woman. She kissed my cheek, tears in her eyes. "You did it, my big boy." Her joy was real. Her love was real. But through the window, in the background, at the very edge of the yard, that same figure. Still, staring. I froze the tape, rewound, and went frame by frame. There it was, black clothes, long dark hair, pale skin. A face just barely visible, but one I recognized. My heart sank. I knew him. The man filming stepped briefly into frame. Broad shoulders, strong jaw, glasses. Not my dad. Or at least, not the man I'd grown up calling father. He kissed the woman on the cheek, and together, with their child, me, they looked like a perfect family. But the shadow outside never left. It only lingered, patient, waiting. The third tape was labeled Zmaz 95. At first, it felt warm, safe. The living room glowed with garland and wrapping paper. A crooked artificial tree stood in the corner. Holiday music crackled faintly from the radio. The woman, my real mother, I realized, wore a red turtleneck. No makeup, just joy in her eyes. She handed a present to toddler me, dressed in green footy pajamas. Frank, the man from the earlier tapes, smiled from the carpet. He adjusted the tripod and gave a thumbs up. "All right, Nate," he said. "Let's see what Santa brought you." He knelt beside me, helping tear the paper. For a moment, it was pure, ordinary happiness. But the camera had slipped slightly, tilted toward the hallway. That's when movement caught my eye. A tall figure stepped into view, half lit by the glow of Christmas lights. Jet black hair, dark clothes, stiff, unnatural posture. He stood silently, staring. It was the man I knew as Dad, the man who raised me. But here, in the footage, he was something else entirely. My mother gasped first. "Frank," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Frank, he's here." Frank moved quickly, rising to his feet, stepping between the figure and his family. "You need to leave," he shouted. "This is our house. What do you want?" The baby, me, started crying. The man in dark clothes stepped forward. Something gleamed faintly in his hand. The room erupted in chaos. A scream, the crash of something breaking, hurried footsteps. The camera shook violently, then fell from the table, landing half-buried beneath the couch. Its angle was low, tilted, but it kept recording. For long seconds, all I could hear were sobs, hurried voices, the sound of things falling over. And then, a thud. A body dropped into the narrow frame beneath the couch. It was Frank. He was bleeding, coughing, his arm twisted unnaturally, his eyes wide with panic. Then, slowly, heavy boots stepped into view. The man, the one I had called Dad. The screen wavered, static flickered, but the sound didn't stop. The tape cut suddenly, replacing chaos with something else. A different house, a different Christmas. The wallpaper had changed. The tree was new, quieter, smaller. I was older now, maybe 3, sitting calmly on the floor, smiling as I opened a gift. A toy dinosaur, battery operated. When I pressed its back, it roared. I laughed, innocent. From behind the camera, a voice asked, "Do you like it?" My father's voice, the one I had grown up with. I nodded, still playing with the toy. But if you listened closely, just beneath the sound of my laughter, there was something else. Muffled crying. A woman's voice, broken and desperate, pleading from somewhere else in the house. "Please, please don't hurt my baby." The words were faint, distant, almost drowned out by the Christmas music. Then footsteps. A door opening. The man behind the camera shouted something down the hall, his voice sharp. I didn't react. I just pressed the button on the toy dinosaur again. It roared, and I laughed unaware. The tape ended there. Abruptly, the screen went black, but I sat frozen long after. My body cold, my chest hollow. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. I kept thinking about Frank, about the woman who had loved me, about the man who had taken me and made me call him Dad. The silence of my apartment pressed down on me. My eyes drifted toward the closet. Inside, buried in an old box, I still had that toy dinosaur. My favorite toy as a child. A gift from the man who wasn't really my father. I remembered how much I had loved it, how I had carried it everywhere. And now, that memory felt poisoned, twisted. But one thought hit me harder than anything else. In all of those tapes, there were no other kids. No brothers. No sisters. Just me. The realization made my stomach turn. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. I needed to call my sister. I needed answers. I needed to know what was on the rest of those tapes. "Hey everyone, After watching today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Bye for now.